I had broken the law, and I needed to face the consequences.
And who gave you the passwords to access the other systems?
Phoenix.
And who is Phoenix?
I don't know his real name. After the arrest, I felt there was a hole left in my life, and I needed to fill it. And I moved from one addiction to another. The 3 years leading up to the court case were pretty much of a blur, really. During this time, my father's condition deteriorated dramatically until he was finally admitted to hospital. My father died at an unfortunate time when we were not getting along very well. One of my regrets from that time is that I didn't reach a point where we were getting along well as adults. After my father passed away and before the sentencing, the stress and the pressure from the court case and the copious amounts of drugs I was taking led me to becoming more and more mentally unstable. And it eventually culminated in a complete breakdown, which required hospitalisation. I was facing 10 years in prison. It was probably touch and go as to whether I was going to come out of things at the other end. After a month of intensive treatment, I was able to return home. Though not fully recovered, I had to prepare myself for the upcoming court case. Because mine was the first computer crime case to be tried, I was worried about how severe the sentence might be. I was also concerned that they would want to send a strong message out to other hackers.
Our society today is increasingly dependent on the use of computer technology. Conduct of the kind in which you engaged poses a threat to the usefulness of that technology. It is incumbent on the courts to see to it that the sentences they impose reflect the gravity of this kind of criminality. On each of counts 12, 13, and 14, you are convicted and are sentenced to terms of imprisonment of 6 months each to be concurrent. However, you will not be required to serve the terms of imprisonment imposed, provided you are of good behavior for the ensuing 6 months. Your conduct revealed arrogance on your part, open defiance, and an intention to beat the system. I have no doubt that certain sections of the community would regard anything other than a custodial sentence as less than appropriate. But after much reflection, I've concluded that an immediate term of imprisonment is unnecessary.
There is traditionally always a conflict between law enforcement people that would say, oh, in this case I put in 3 years, all this work, and they got this sentence. It's not fair, it's not right. I would have personally thought, well, maybe they should have got more severe penalty.
In 1998, 5 years after the sentencing, Ken Day and 2 other agents walked out of the AFP and into computer security jobs in the private sector.
After 10 years of frustration, I had to leave. Computer crime in the AFP was a group of people in the corner of the building, shut the door, leave them alone. They really don't have much of a computer crime capability anymore. I think the fact that nobody's looking at the hacker community is a huge mistake, because I think it's a gaping hole. You know, we're looking at things like nuclear reactors. We're looking at things like the critical infrastructure, water supply. There's another critical infrastructure. It's called computer networks.
When I was arrested, I felt that law enforcement would be able to pretty much squash the computer hacking underground. But I hadn't really factored in the growth of the web and the amount of information sharing that would enable. I mean, there's now the ability to download automated hacking tools from the web to do what it took us weeks or months to learn how to do.
Hackers are a fact of life. They're not going to go away. They're always going to be with us, and no legislation is going to deter that. As soon as you have one group of hackers who have given up hacking, some other 15-year-old will rise up through the ranks and decide that he too wants to try and conquer the computer systems that put man on the moon.
I think that initially there was perhaps misplaced fear for what these largely kids could do, but that's changed. And in the last half year, as we've sort of mapped these giant computer systems and networks to our entire economic and social fabric, I don't think it's possible any longer to have too much fear.
The amount of detail I share with current acquaintances and even friends about my past life is limited. I mean, there's situations where I outright lie about certain aspects of my past. How I would like to be remembered is very different from how Electron as a computer hacker will be remembered. I would much rather have been involved in building the infrastructure of the internet during that period rather than breaking into it.